Update. Learned yesterday that I have a daughter with my ex. My fiancé and I are in shock. Original post. Al 30 male and my fiancé 29 female did not start talking to her best friend Kate until a couple months ago. They were friends since elementary school through high school, but lost contact their first year of college. And here's the fun part. Kate and I met when we were in college and went out for 3 years. She was an absolute nightmare. Very clingy, controlling. I wasn't allowed to have any girlfriends. Every argument turned into a shouting match. I guess her obsession with me possibly cheating on her was all projection because she was the one who did. This completely broke me. I didn't date for a year and did some therapy. The whole relationship really messed with me mentally. Met my fiancé a couple years ago and here we are. Very happy and about to get married in December. She's talked about Kate a few times in passing, but there's a million Kates out in the world. Never considered they were one and the same. She told me she really wanted to find her since it's been a long time and they used to be such close friends. I'd also invite her to our wedding since they always promised to go to each other's. I thought that was great. Well, she found her on Facebook and they started chatting and reconnecting. And even Kate's mom, who my fiancé says was like a second mom to her too. They agreed to have lunch so my fiancé could invite her, and Kate's young daughter too, who also went to the lunch. My fiancé took a picture of them together, then showed me later on that day. That's when I realized and told my fiancé. By the way, I did tell her about this relationship and how toxic it was. My fiancé was in shock too. Couldn't see her friend being that way back then, but she was really understanding that I wasn't at all comfortable with her going to the wedding now. Even if maybe she's a different person now, I don't want those sorts of negative reminders on a day meant to be a happy moment. I don't want an old ex who made my life hard there. My fiancé tells me Kate has messaged her a few times angry about this, but they always said they'd be at each other's weddings. She keeps telling her that she needs to talk to me, but I've refused contact. Apparently didn't know she was marrying me either until the lunch, but didn't say anything because she assumed we could be adults. Both Kate and her mom keep coming after my fiancé to change her mind and think of being an a-hole for not letting her go to her own best friend's wedding, when they've missed out on things in each other's lives, like Kate's having her kid. I feel bad that my fiancé is getting the brunt of this. And to top it off, I know she was really looking forward to her best friend being there. But she won't invite them if I'm uncomfortable with that. Am I wrong here? Now for the top comments before reading the first update. Nah, Kate is learning that there are sometimes far-reaching consequences to our behavior. Don't go to your childhood best friend's wedding because you cheated on her now fiancé years ago, is apparently one of those lessons. It sounds like your fiancé is on your side here, which is good. Hopefully you two can just support each other through this. Also, as far as past behavior being used to judge someone goes, Kate's college behavior is a lot more recent than her high school friendship with her fiancé. You don't invite your abuser anywhere, much less your wedding. And you can tell where Kate got her pushy, bullying, abusive behavior from when her mother keeps insisting to be invited. Doesn't seem to me that Kate has changed much if at all. Agree with this, and sounds like your fiancé needs to let go of a friend who was out of her life for a reason. If X had been more mature and understanding, maybe they could have had a perfectly pleasant friendship going forward. But she already insulted you for not being an adult, and is harassing your fiancé. Neither of you need her in your lives. I hope your soon-to-be wife can see that friendship is best left to the past. It would be a bad idea for her to be there. Why is Kate pushing so much? And her mother too? When your fiancé and Kate have been out of touch for so long. I'm seeing red flags here. It all seems like a little suspect, like what a coincidence. Glad your fiancé will support you in this. Don't invite her and definitely don't talk to her. Total red flags. Would not be surprised to find out Kate knew exactly who she was marrying, even before they reconnected. Now for the first update. Before I met my fiancé, I was in a relationship with another woman in my early 20s for 3 years. It was a very toxic relationship that I got out of and completely cut contact with her. She also happened to be my fiancé's childhood best friend, but they lost contact when they graduated high school. She's only mentioned her friend in passing and seen some old childhood photos of them. However, we never made a connection that her friend and my ex were one and the same, since she got a pretty common name. We only found out recently because my fiancé tried to find her so they can reconnect and maybe have her come to our wedding. They have met and talked. Then my fiancé showed me who she is and I told her. My fiancé knows now she's my ex, and I'm not comfortable with an ex at our wedding. But apparently she's been trying to contact me since finding out I'm the groom. She managed to find my work and came to see me in person this morning. Then she tells me her daughter is mine, and I left before she found out she's pregnant. Her daughter is 6, so the timeline matches from when I left her. I'm not sure if it's my mind playing games on me, but I'm seeing a bit of resemblance in some of the photos she's shown me of her. I really don't want this to be true, but she says I need to take responsibility for my child, and she's willing to do a paternity test if I don't believe her. She never tried to find me before because she knows what she did to me, but now that we happen to find each other back in our lives, she felt this was her opportunity to come clean. I've learned all this today, and I'm still in shock. I don't know what to tell my fiancé. She knows her friend is my nightmare ex. Now there's a possibility we have a child together. Not sure how she would react in this situation. Hell, I don't know what to do right now either. Only thing I think about are the images of her daughter. What the hell do I do now with this information? How do I even tell my fiancé without losing her? I'm terrified of that happening. Now for the top advice before reading the last 2 updates. This is definitely one for a lawyer. Because even if the kid is yours, you're going to need help making sure the crazy doesn't creep back into your life. In the meantime, absolutely do not invite her to the wedding, and tell her that all communication has to go through your lawyer. She's not to contact you or your fiancé directly. She is willing to do a paternity test. This would be an amazingly good moment to go chat to a lawyer about how to proceed or whether to proceed. My guess is lawyer will advise you to do exactly nothing without a court order. From a relationship point of view, you're gonna have to tell your fiancé and ASAP before crazy ex does. Keep her in the loop. That's what marriage means. And of course, pause the wedding until lawyers, etc. From the point of view of kid looks like me, it might mean nothing. It's perhaps just confirmation bias. Go out in the street or a playground, choose a random kid and ask yourself, okay, let's say this one might be mine. Can I see a similarity? And I guarantee you'll see. Oh yes, he/she's got my eyebrows/legs/eyes. This. An old friend of mine had to ask me for a paternity test on my daughter. I was confused because we'd never had that kind of relationship and weren't even in contact with each other when I conceived her with my husband. But his another of a wife had seen me and my husband and kids, and my daughter is the only blonde blue-eyed one of the then 3, and he was blonde blue-eyed. So his wife created this whole story in her head that we had a secret affair and my daughter was his, and even went as far as crying to his family. My husband and I said, if you're paying. Well, guess who was not her father? Yeah, her husband. But guess who was cheating? Yeah, her. See your lawyer, don't rely on looks. Even I admit, if someone saw me and my friend together were just my daughter, it would be far-fetched to believe she was his. But she isn't. Lawyer. Do not do anything without talking to a lawyer. Do not take a paternity test without a court order. Ask a lawyer if she has missed a time frame to establish paternity. Some states you have as little as a child's 4th birthday to establish/challenge paternity. I would hope that Opie would want to be in a kid's life and help care for her, assuming she's his, even if he could legally get out of it. I know for me not doing that would be a far bigger deal breaker than having a kid. Edited to add, still talk to a lawyer before getting the test. That way you have legal advice regarding custody etc. for as long as your paternity is confirmed. Otherwise you might get tricked into saying something that could decrease your custody access. Now for the second update 2 months later. I decided to have an honest sit down with my fiancée to tell her exactly what my ex/her old BFF told me. She needed a few hours away to clear her head and get it. I was so scared she was gonna decide this was too much for her and decide that she can't do it. But my fiancée, the amazing woman that she is, said we're in this together. We got in contact with a lawyer. My ex agreed to cooperate with going to court for a paternity test. And yesterday we got the results back. I am the father. This little girl is my daughter and have just missed 6 years of her life. And with my toxic ex, I tried so hard to get away from, of all people. She came at us with that "I told you so," and I better be ready to step up and be in their lives. She didn't even say my daughter's life. She said their lives. My ex seemed really satisfied with us. For some reason it makes me uncomfortable. Before this, we had talked about what would happen if it turned out I was the father. One thing we discussed was if I'd be a dad or just a father from a distance, paying the child support I owe until she's a legal adult. My fiancé didn't feel right with the second one, and to be honest, neither do I. Can't imagine not being involved in her life, and I would like to get to know her. It's the thought that I'd have to deal with my ex for the rest of my life, though. Part of me doesn't feel like I can mentally handle that. Knowing how she was back then, what drove me to break up with her, then make it difficult for her to contact me. Everything's hitting me all at once. I'm not sure what to do to process everything. On top of that, know how to make sure to be a good father to this little girl. She is innocent in all this, and I don't want to hurt her. You can just meet your ex at a mutual location to trade off your daughter, and keep the transactions between her brief. She only contacts you in regards to your daughter. Didn't know that was a thing. My main concern is that she'll want to use my daughter against me, or try to make it harder to have some sort of custody agreement, because I do want to be in her life. Lawyer, lawyer, lawyer. Get a lawyer to negotiate custody terms. It will cost money, but it will be worth it. You need way more advice than some place like this can give. Like lawyer advice. It is entirely possible for you to be in your daughter's life with a bare minimum connection to your ex, but there is going to be some if you choose to go that route. You will need legal advice to navigate that, though, not randos and Reddit's advice. I'll be contacting my lawyer today for sure. I'm just looking for any advice right now in the meantime while I'm trying to calm my anxiety. You can 100% have a relationship with your child with a minimal contact with your ex. Relax. Get your home ready for your child. Get a bed, dresser, clothes you might think will fit. To get your home safe and ready for your child to stay. Because I imagine at some point you'll have a social worker to do a walkthrough of your living situation. Yes, we have a guest bedroom we plan to use as her room when the time came. Since we know she's my daughter now, we're making preparations. Thank you, this has been very reassuring for me. Part of me wants to be allowed to feel excited that I have a child, and believe me, I am. But also couldn't stop feeling the dread that there's no way I'd ever be able to escape from my ex now. So all this really helps. Now for the latest update, more than a month later. Things are still a little chaotic, but I'm glad that I've got a lawyer to ensure everything is done by the court, and we've got the ball rolling on that. Everyone who made comments on my last post made me feel reassured and less panicked about the situation, especially talking about how me and my ex don't need to have direct contact with each other unless it had something to do with my daughter. I've tried hard to get away from her and her toxicity, so thinking that we had a kid together meant she'll make my life even more hellish the way she did before. Well, she still can, but at least I've got a lawyer now to fight my battle. First issue that came up since finding out was her refusing to let me meet my daughter at all, unless I gave her $900 that was supposedly for my daughter's school. But I already knew that was BS. And I was gonna let it go and wait for the court to grant me visitation. Yes, I will be paying the child support I owe, but I'm not going to hand my ex cash like that. At least her mom stepped in and convinced her to let me meet my daughter. Her mom was the one to drop her off with us. I was so nervous, but it really went well. Shy, of course. After an hour, she really opened up, and it's crazy to know who this sweet kid came from. Playing with her at the park brings out the little kid in me, and we end up having a blast. My favorite thing has been taking her to places she hasn't been to before and watching her light up. It seriously warms my heart. My fiancé left the first meeting be between me and my daughter, but they finally met last week. It still feels crazy knowing I have a kid. And we missed out all this time together, so I have no clue what I'm doing with her. I'm glad to be getting involved in her life though. And trying to ignore my ex and all her BS. Make sure it doesn't affect my relationship with my daughter. She's so little and I don't want her to see any fighting between us. My fiancé is such a rock star though. She's been my biggest supporter in all this, and I can't believe how lucky I am. I'll do everything to show her how much I appreciate her. This is such a wholesome update. Give yourself, your daughter, and your fiancé plenty of time to adapt to the situation. Your first meeting sounds adorable, and I hope it continues in this vein. Expect it to be a process though. There will be ups and downs, and that's to be expected. Little kids have big feelings and can't always manage them in a way adults understand. Remember, consistency is everything. No matter how difficult your ex makes it, keep your promises to your daughter, show up on time, and be there. Your ex's mom seems to be a stabilizing influence, and I hope she's able to convince her daughter to put her child's needs before her own pettiness. Your fiancé sounds amazing. Keep letting her know how much you appreciate her support. That's the plan. I don't want to mess up with my daughter because of the issues with my ex. It's not fair to her at all. I hope her mom's able to convince her too. Because this is not something my daughter should have to be dealing with. And if things can't be civil, that would be better. Have your lawyer fight for use of My Family Wizard or something like that, with 100% of communication goes through the app. All receipts, joint calendar, gets rid of all the he said, she said, when it's all there in black and white. Lots of people recommended that in my last post. I looked into it myself and brought it up to my lawyer. Amazing to have something like this set up and really has eased my nerves a bit. Your fiancé is your rock, making the best of a complicated situation. She has been so amazing, and I love her for sticking by my side. We decided to do a little nice 2-day getaway last week to show her how much I really appreciate her being there for me with all these huge changes going on in our lives. She deserves it more than anything. I'd also like to say that as your daughter gets older, you can slowly phase out all contact with your ex, because eventually your daughter will be an adult and able to connect with you without her mom involved. Stay strong, it won't be forever. Thank you. The idea of being stuck with my ex for life filled me with so much dread. I didn't know there were ways to have limited contact while still having things such as custody and child support worked out. You're right though. It won't be like this forever.
My husband is cheating on me with my best friend. I sent him screenshots of his conversation with her and my conversation with a Tinder guy I'm meeting on Friday. Plus update. Original post. I, female 29, had to move for a few months to a different city for my studies. I moved in September and I'll stay here until June. My sister called me to say that I saw him with my best friend. We wouldn't have thought anything about it if my sister didn't say that she had a sense that they looked caught. I logged into his phone and saw the texts, including the ones discussing the interaction with my sister. I sent him all the screenshots. I also made a Tinder account and started talking with the guy. We got flirty and planned to meet on Friday, and I took screenshots and sent them to my husband too. Now he has been calling and texting me since yesterday. Please, baby, don't do it, he said. But I don't think I hurt him as much as he hurt me. Now for the top comments before reading the update. I think if you plan on divorcing, you'll have more of a leg to stand on if you don't provide evidence of your Friday tryst. Totally get it in an emotional level though. Sorry this is happening. Devastating. The first time my abusive hubby cheated on me, I found out in the worst possible way. Went to the ER to get treated for a urinary tract infection. Doctor comes in after running tests and says, "You don't have a UTI, you have chlamydia." I called my husband and told him he had best get checked, and to call his girlfriend to get checked too. He started accusing me of being the cheater. I went back home because I had nowhere else to go. A few days later, my best friend called me in hysterics, saying her husband was going to end her. I asked what was wrong, and she said she got diagnosed with chlamydia. That friendship ended. Unfortunately, I was stupid and stayed with him. I ran from him for 24 years. I left him a total of 4 times. The last time was when he hit me while I was holding our newborn. He chased me up and down the East Coast and even threatened to off us. I found out about a month ago that he has been dead the past 2 years. I don't have to run anymore, but I think it is gonna take a while for me not to be scared anymore. Baby girl, don't set yourself aflame trying to scorch his earth. Don't reveal any details of getting your lick back, if that's what you plan to do and go through with it. The husband and the best friend though, same age-old tale, different OP. No, contact both, especially the best friend. There's no coming back from that, and you'll never trust her again. Your friendship is dead. Her marriage is dead too after I'm finished with my husband. Not saying you're the same, but when I cheated to get back at a significant other, it did not give me the satisfaction I hoped. Just be careful and expect some emotional fallout, even if it's not immediate. Sometimes it doesn't come until the rage settles. I agree. I once tried to get back at a cheating girlfriend after we broke up, but it fell through. Later, when I was over the cheating in a relationship, I was so glad it fell through. Deep down, I didn't want to be like her. Cancel on a Tinder guy and set up appointments to find your perfect divorce lawyer. Gather your documents and don't say a thing to your husband about your stealth divorce. Be strategic. Serve it cold and calculated. Now for the update. I found out more about the cheating and I guess my husband thought an explanation would make it better in any way. It just ended up making it worse. Much, much worse. Of course, I haven't spoken to him in person because that is what he wants and that is what I won't give him. I've just been reading his frantic messages that he's been sending me because I don't pick up. I live in another city for my last semester of school. It was something that we both believed we can manage. And let's face it, real couples who share real love do manage it. I visit home every other weekend and he comes here every other weekend. The weeks that I only have lectures that don't require physical presence, I stay with him and do them online. I knew it was going to be hard because it is hard to be apart from your loved one. But never did I think that he would cheat and use being lonely and missing me as an excuse. But that was his excuse. That this was harder than he expected and that he missed me all the time. He met my best friend on coincidence one day, and he lamented how much he missed me and hated being apart. And she was supportive and understanding. Then it happened, all because he missed me. Can you imagine leaving your home and the people you know and love to be stuck in a city where you don't know anyone and have no family and friends and read your husband make that excuse? I called my best friend's husband on Friday and told him everything. I wanted to know everything before I ruined another marriage, especially because she and her husband have 2 children. I apologized to him and told him that I wasn't sure if he wanted to know or not, but that he would probably eventually hear about it, and maybe it is better that he heard it from me rather than gossipy acquaintances. He was shocked and devastated, but he thanked me. We ended up talking for 4 hours trying to remember if we missed any red flags, and how stupid we must have been not noticing any. I have heard that he has moved out with his children. The only text I got from her was that I was vindictive, and not to worry because her husband loves her and that I didn't succeed in my revenge. I've been living in an Airbnb these past few days because I knew that my husband would try to visit me, and I was right. He is currently in my apartment. I ended up meeting the Tinder guy for drinks. He knows that I am newly single and only in town for a few months, and that I'm not looking for anything serious right now. I shared a picture of our drinks on Insta story and made sure that his arm showed. My phone went mental with texts and calls from my husband. Over 100 calls and 100 texts. To be honest, I felt that I needed to meet someone to talk to anyway. While I know few people here, I don't really have any friends, so it was nice to just meet and talk to someone. He is very good looking too, so I will definitely keep in touch, and he texted me yesterday about meeting again. So nothing happened on Friday. Eventually it will. I know that I will never hurt my husband the way he hurt me because I don't believe he ever loved me like I loved him. He hurt me because I love him. I hurt him because he loves himself. He and your best friend are both pieces of trash. I lived apart from my husband in different cities for the first couple of years of our relationship. We saw each other weekly like you. Sure, it is not fun to be apart, but it's certainly not like being abandoned, and it would never cause any normal faithful partner to immediately rush into betting your best friend. He cheated because he wanted to cheat, and because you weren't around to find out, it made him feel guilty. Exactly. He cheated because he knew I wasn't around, and he brought her to my home, twice, before realizing he was being a douche. Don't ever go back to your husband, and your ex-BFF is a POS too. I hope her husband divorces her. He will. I've heard gossip and he actually spilled all the tea. He doesn't think she is worth saving a marriage for. Haha, good. Too bad for the kids, but she only has herself to blame. I know, but I don't think it is better for the children to have parents who don't love each other. Yeah, I spent my entire childhood wondering why the hell my parents were even married, and wondering when they would just break up. It was because my mom got pregnant with my brother. It was a pregnancy marriage. My dad finally had enough, and they finally divorced when I was 18. I couldn't believe it took 20 years. And when it happened, I was not shocked. I thought it was gonna happen many, many years ago. I hope your ex-best friend's husband leaves her. Hopefully she ends up with your crappy ex, so they don't go ruining more marriages. I don't know if they end up together or not. It would rid the world of 2 a-holes if they ended up together and stopped hurting others. My ex was with a wannabe gold digger. They got married 30 days after our final decree. It wasn't long before they were both cheating again. She thought he was on a fast corporate track. They made my life hell because I got the stock options, half his pension, alimony, and child support. I laughed when I heard he was hiding the credit cards, and he emailed that he was, "Oh, I'm so sorry, and wants all our good times back." When I replied, I said, "They really weren't that good for me. No thanks. Been divorced for 28 years and he still tries to play me. Really hope you don't have a kid with this guy, or go back. Sure, you deserve better." Next story. My husband is too busy and too important to care about our children, and I'm sick of it. My husband is a surgeon, and according to him, he's the most important person in the world. A god among men who casually determines life or death, and is far, far too important to be bothered by the trivial concerns of us mere peons. Concerns like maybe you should spend some time with your freaking girls? But oh no, you see, he works so hard and has so much pressure that when he's home, he has to be sequestered from the annoying sounds of our girls playing. Or, being happy to see him? My dad has picked up the slack. He's been the one that changed their diapers. I drop them off at school and go to work. Dad picks them up and stays with them till I get home. My dad was the one who taught them to ride a bike. My dad is the one who shows up to the plays and dance recitals. He's the one that helps with the homework. My dad is the one who dresses as Santa. My dad is the one who does the Easter egg hunts and tea parties. My husband is far too important for any of that. And despite the fact that my husband has absolutely no interest in our kids, he is still mad that the kids are closer to my dad and him. So my dad is now struggling financially. We have the means to help him, but my husband doesn't want to. I'd rather see my dad move to the other side of the country and removed from our kids' lives. I put my foot down and he goes on to Reddit to whine about it. Well, now I'm here too, dear. You want to whine about our marriage on Reddit? I can do it too. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Your dad's a great dad and grandpa. Your kids will know that. The kids love him. He's been a daily fixture in their lives since they were born. They know him better than they know their father. Maybe it's time to put dad on a payroll for all the caregiving duties. It's not money given to him, but money owed to him for the work he does. I work with doctors, including surgeons. I don't know a single male surgeon that doesn't have a side chick and is not divorced, often multiple times. Surgeons are a mess, and they are the last people I would ever date. Yes, I know there are good ones, but they're extremely rare. My ex-fiancé's dad was a surgeon, and while we were dating, he introduced his entire family to his side chick and moved her into their home, instructing his grown sons to call her mom name and his then wife move into the guest room. She eventually moved into an apartment and then ended herself 6 months later. The callousness that all of those men showed that woman was what broke us up. I couldn't believe it. His dad had no accountability or remorse. I have quite a number of friends that work in the medical field, from nurses to consultants, and without hesitation, if you ask them who the worst group of people they work with are, they'll say surgeons. Their takes are almost identical, brilliant at what they do, but emotionally stunted, and almost devoid of basic life or social skills. One very talented surgeon that used to work with a pal of mine had to be told not to put metal in a microwave. Twice. They always mentioned an exception to the rule, and it took 15 years for me to realize they were all talking about the same guy. I thought it was just a generalization. Surely this can't be all of them. Then I went on a date with one, and Jesus Christ. I spent most of that time wondering how they are allowed to leave the house unsupervised. You must have the patience of a saint. Get your dad in the pool house, and best of luck. Also, apologies to the lovely, well-adjusted surgeons out there. You do great work. Now for the update. Wow, this all blew up. I was so angry when I posted this. Now I'm just drained. He came by yesterday to pick up some things and we argued. The girls were out with my dad because I knew this would be a fight and I didn't want them around for this. He said awful things, just awful, about me, my dad, and the girls. After he left, I talked to my mom. We have a difficult relationship, but if there's one person I want in my corner going into the divorce, it's her. The divorce is happening. I saw an attorney my mom recommended today. I'm really glad I went through that prenup my mom wanted when we got married now. At this point, I won't speak to my soon-to-be ex-husband. My lawyer is doing my talking for me. I'm exhausted. Thank you everyone for all the support. It helped to read the comments and know people supported me. He made me feel so small and stupid yesterday, and he said awful things about our girls. I'm not mad anymore. I'm just heartbroken. Our girls deserve better than this. I really wanted better for them. I just wanted to have a family and a nice home. Now I'm just going through a divorce like my parents. I never wanted this. I tried so hard to keep this all together so we didn't wind up here. But I've failed. Update 2. I've been getting a lot of questions and requests for an update, so I'll keep this short. We are moving forward with the divorce. He's moved out and dad's moved in. The kids are good. Last story. Who knew that all I had to do was to give them my blessing for my husband and his mistrust to break up? I've known about his infidelity for 10 months now when he almost missed the birth of our baby. We had a planned C-section, but our daughter decided she couldn't wait, and I called him all morning confused and terrified, in pain, because I was scheduled 2 weeks later. My mom finally got hold of him. He smelled disgusting. My way, a perfume that I really hate. He looked more guilty than excited, and he smelled disgusting. Anyway, when we got home, I looked in his phone and found out about them. I don't know how he has been able to fool me, or was I just blind? I told him that I knew, and he tried to deny it and I didn't argue. When I didn't argue, he probably felt relieved that I had dropped it. Or maybe he thought I believed him. One day, he came home late and he smelled of my way again, and I broke down crying and begging him to stop. To choose our family. To choose me. I love you. He just denied it again and I didn't argue again. I told him that I hated what he was doing and that I hated her disgusting perfume. I don't think it mattered because he was working late again not a week later. The day after New Year's Day, I took my children to town because I convinced myself that I needed to do some shopping. I found myself walking around his office around lunchtime looking inside restaurants. I thought that after the holidays keeping them apart, they would be wanting to have lunch together on their first day at work. My heart was racing and my stomach churning. I thought that if I saw them together, I would faint or even die. But none of this happened. I found them as I expected in the restaurant he used to take me to whenever I visited him. I was surprised that hurt and humiliation I was expecting and fearing didn't come. Instead, I felt calm and relief, like something big and heavy was lifted from my heart. I even felt embarrassed that he was as predictable as I thought. I think I stopped having any feelings for him right that moment. It reeked of my way in the whole restaurant, or maybe I just imagined it. I told them that I wasn't there to cause trouble, but that I needed to see for myself. I told her that she had won and that now she could have him. I told him that if he followed after me, that I would scream, because he was about to. When he got home, he wanted to talk. I told him that I wasn't angry or hurt anymore. He could be with her. For almost 2 weeks now, they have been arguing and fighting over text, because he ended the affair. I will never understand how some people function. Why weren't my tears and pleas enough for him to end it? But my blessings were. Because illicit affair, mistrust, and gaslighting you are thrilling and power games that make them feel important and like special snowflakes. Impending divorce, STD check, lawyers, alimony and child support, home wrecker don't have quite the same sexy flavor to them. Right, he didn't want to be with her. He wanted to bed her, sneak around, and get a rush from feeling like a young hot guy while his wife stays stuck at home with the kids. Now that he's facing only having the side chick, he probably doesn't want to be a stepmother to the kids of a man she knows firsthand cannot be trusted not to wonder, is panicking about losing his actual partner, home, money, and time with his kids. I hope Opie doesn't waver, because a man that is out cheating when his wife is not only pregnant but due to give birth in the next few weeks is a huge POS. He also didn't think she would leave him over it. He loved the idea of two women wanting him. When one of them noped out of the competition and the one that noped out was the one wanted, he quit the game. It was no longer fun having a woman he didn't really want chasing after him. Too bad for him. He blew up his life for a woman he doesn't want and lost the one he did want. Please tell me you are filing for divorce. Eventually. Update. I heard my in-laws talking about getting my wife back together with her ex. Original post. I, 35 male, have been with Abby, 35 female, for 13 years now. Every day that goes by, I love her more and more, and we're even expecting our first baby. For the holidays, we always stay 2 to 3 months visiting my wife's family. But the problem is that, this year, all the family was really excited saying that Alan is coming. In all the years in the family, I never heard of an Alan, and my wife didn't even care about it. So I thought it was just a cousin. But the famous Alan was my wife's ex and first love. The man lives in Europe, but Abby's family still have contact with him and even invited the man to the house now that he's in the country. I try to get along with Alan, but the man just ignores me and takes every chance to get closer with my wife, making jokes or talking about the past. I didn't took it personal because I don't want to look jealous. But lately, he has been coming every day to visit the family, and Abby's family started comparing his accomplishments to mine. They're all big fans of Alan, and I honestly feel jealous of that because they're treating him better than me. 2 days ago, I heard my mother-in-law and brother-in-law talking about how nice it would have been for Abby to stay with Alan because he's a smart man. What hurt me the most was hearing my brother-in-law say that he can try to get Alan and Abby back together, and my mother-in-law just laughed saying that it would be good to go on a trip to Europe every year and not to the countryside with the peasant. Talking about me because I live in a farm with my wife, just because she always dreamed to live in that kind of quiet environment. In fact, now that I'm no longer blindfolded, I'm starting to notice how my brother-in-law makes too many comments to my wife about how great Alan is. Although Abby never says kind things about Alan, and I think she even treats him like he's a child. I don't feel comfortable being here knowing that they see me as a dumb peasant, and it's horrible to see how they try to include Alan in the family when they still treat me like I'm just a casual boyfriend of Abby's. But my wife only sees her family these months of the year, and I don't want to ruin that, or put that kind of stress on her since she's pregnant. I feel like I'm in some kind of rom-com, but I'm in the role of the bad husband the protagonist leaves for the handsome CEO. Haha. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Talk to your wife. You've been together 13 years. This is a conversation you should be able to have with her. I find it odd that she didn't mention who this person was, but if she were hiding something, she wouldn't have had the two of you in the same place at the same time. What her family's doing to both of you is not okay. They are disrespecting both of you. It's been 13 years. They're delusional if they think they can hook him up with her. Clearly, she's not interested, but she needs to shut this behavior down immediately. Shame on them. Going forward, there is no reason you should be spending 2 to 3 months with her family ever. You have your own lives and a baby on the way. Actually, I had mentioned to Abby that she had never told me about that ex, and she said that Alan was never someone relevant in her life, and she considers me her first love, so I'm totally sure she doesn't even feel anything for him. Abby always responds coldly to the weird comments her family makes, but she is normally resting in the bedroom, and they have never said anything as harsh as what I heard from my brother-in-law and mother-in-law. Sounds like you've got an amazing life. I'm sorry her family are such a-holes to you. I think going forward, you guys should not stay with her family for as long as you do. And next time you visit, stay in a hotel. Enjoy your time there. Going forward, tell her the things they say or do and let her handle it. They are her family. Let it be her problem. And what does your wife say? My wife just ignores Alan. And when my brother-in-law says those things, Abby just says, if you like Alan that much, then go sleep with him. And the conversation ends. When I found out it's her ex, she just said, yes, I dated him for 2 months when I finished high school, and made a disgusted face. I couldn't ask more, because she has been really tired with the pregnancy and don't want to stress her more. I'm sorry, they're this pressed for a guy she dated for 2 months over a decade ago? OP, was Alan a family friend or something? It just feels weird that they like him this much. Having known you for 13 years, have they always disliked you? From what I heard, he lived in the same neighborhood, but they were never close until Abby started dating him. When he moved to Europe, the family still had contact with him through Facebook and WhatsApp, and even some members of the family stays in his house when they went to Europe. So it seems the aunts and cousins are really close with him. They always made jokes about our farm life, and I know my mother-in-law hates that Abby has gone to live so far away from them. She always hides her dislike for me, although I can feel the cold treatment she always gives me. My brother-in-laws always made it obvious that they didn't like me for taking their old sister away. The rest of the family treats me well or just normal, but Alan is really charismatic. Plus, they're all really extroverted people, and I'm more on the quiet side, so I think it's easier for them to like him more. They just like the idea of using him for free trips to Europe. They're delusional. And they're willing to break up their daughter's 13-year relationship when she has a kid on the way. Truly nonsensical, and also just morally repugnant. Could they be any more trashy? Now for the update. So I found out my wife was cheating on me with Alan. Nah, just kidding. Thanks for all the advice I received. Many of them were very helpful, and some were very weird ideas like record conversations with my mother-in-law or have my wife choose between her family or me. Maybe it's something cultural, but I would never give an ultimatum like that, because to me, it's a really low blow to do. Here, family is very important. After making the post and reading the comments, I decided to talk with Abby about what I heard. We were in our room, and I talked about what her mother and brother said as calmly as possible. But the moment I finished telling everything, Abby just kissed my forehead and ran with her pregnant belly out of the bedroom to literally yell at everyone in the living room. No one spoke beside an aunt, who tried to justify themselves by saying that they were just making jokes, to which I replied that they were uncomfortable and disgusting jokes. At some point, Abby told her mother something like, "Whether you like it or not, I'm married to this man. I'm going to have this baby with him and many more, so shut up and bear with it." Then my wife yelled at her brothers and went with them to talk in private. My brother-in-laws talked with me and admitted that they were only doing that because they believed I was forcing Abby to marry and live in a farm far away from the family, when it was actually Abby's idea to get married in private and live in a farm. So all these years it has just been a misunderstanding. The 3 brothers apologized to me and were really embarrassed about their behavior, saying they only invited Alan to mess with me. After that, most of the family members apologized to us. Abby told everyone that she doesn't want to see Alan in the house anymore while we're here. She's not going to forbid them from talking with him, but doesn't want to see him near her because he's uncomfortable. Mother-in-law tried to complain, but Abby just said, "Shut up, Mom," and left the living room with me. In the bedroom, Abby confessed to me that she also felt uncomfortable, but since Alan is a friend of the family, she preferred not to say anything other than throw passive-aggressive comments at him. For example, after New Year's, we were all eating and Alan stroked her belly without asking. To which my wife said, "Do it again and I'll bite you." So we never did that again. Abby even said that at some point, she actually talked with Alan and told him that she dislikes being touched by other people. But Alan said she was overreacting and left her talking alone. I feel really stupid for not noticing how uncomfortable my wife also was feeling, because after that is when she stayed most of the times in the bedroom when Alan was in the house, with the excuse she was tired because of the pregnancy. Just out of curiosity, I asked her why she broke up with Alan if he's such a cool man because I'll admit, he's really charismatic. And Abby told me that he always treated her as if he knew everything and explained things that she already knew every time they talked. Abby never felt the need of talking about that relationship because it wasn't relevant, and she sees me as her first love, not Alan. I apologized to Abby for not noticing how uncomfortable she was, and only looking at my own feelings without talking about it as a couple. And Abby also apologized for the same. We promised to communicate this kind of thing to each other no matter what. Yesterday, we went on a date together, and when we came back, my mother-in-law looked very unfriendly, but she apologized to my wife, to which Abby said she should apologize to me. So mother-in-law and I talked for a while alone, and although I'm still upset, we promised to at least be civil with each other for Abby and the baby. We decided next time we will stay in one of the hotel rooms while we were here, even if it's a 3-hour drive. It would be better for us to be comfortable, and 3 months in my in-laws' house was always really tiring. So it's something we should have done earlier. For now, Alan is no longer in the picture because yesterday, I got his number to send a message, clarifying why he can't come back and why I don't want him near my wife. The man just blocked me without answering. I guess he understood, but if he didn't, I don't have any problem in talking about it face to face. Edit? I showed Abby the Reddit post, and she didn't have any problem with me asking for advice. I'm even posting this now with her hugging my arm. I love this woman a lot. Edit 2. Alan came back to the country because he divorced his wife and is flirting with any woman to come his way. So it seems he thought it was a great idea to try and flirt with my pregnant wife. Dude, I literally saw the first paragraph and my heart dropped. Seems to me that you have an amazing wife and will likely have an amazing life. Good luck and don't mess it up. Also, congrats on becoming a parent. Thanks for the good wishes to all people who's commenting. I'm sure I will never do anything to mess up what I have now with my little family. I have no idea what your wife looks like, but a mental image of a pregnant lady kissing her husband's forehead and running out of your room to give her family a verbal lashing is definitely one of the most wholesome things I've ever read. Her family sucks. Tell me about it. Not only deciding they knew what Abby wanted without ever talking to Abby and actually asking her if she was happy, but then going behind her back to try and break up her happy marriage and set her up with someone she already ended a relationship with. I'm betting not once did they ever stop and wonder why Abby and Alan never worked out in the first place, or why Abby chose to not break up with Opie. Yay for your wife. I appreciate her so much for listening to you, supporting you, and not delaying a single moment and setting her family straight. She sounds amazing, as does your marriage and connection, and I'm so happy this situation seems to have only made you stronger as a couple, and maybe as individuals too. And one more thing, I'm very vocal about one having autonomy and full control over who touches them and when. Included in this is pregnant women, and a tendency for people to help themselves to a tummy touch without permission from the mama. It enrages me that people feel entitled to the body of another person in any way like that. Reading that Alan touched Abby's belly made my blood boil, but I absolutely love her response that she will bite him if he does it again. She's feisty, and that will continue to serve her well in her life and the life of her child. Same, Abby also hates when people touches her belly without asking. Even old ladies we don't know does that, and it's really uncomfortable for her. Abby always asks people not to do that, but most of them get offended by that. There are many people who do not respect the personal space of pregnant women with the excuse of caressing the baby. It's really annoying. Last story. My elders kept a huge secret my whole life and I accidentally discovered the truth. My 39 female and my sister 42 female became suspicious a few years ago that our dad, 67 male, isn't our 38 male younger brother's bio dad. Our suspicion started 4 years ago when our parents got divorced. My mom, 62 female, acted completely insane, trying to get us and our kids to basically abandon our dad and chose to only have a relationship with her. Our dad said a few cryptic things out of frustration that made it clear he had big secrets, and that it felt stuck watching her try to isolate us and not being able to tell us the truth about who she really is as a person. Then a childhood friend of our mom had her first great-grandbaby, and we ended up seeing not just her, but also her 2 adult children, 56 female and 54 male, for the first time since becoming suspicious. As soon as we saw the son David, we knew he is our brother's dad. We hadn't seen him in some years, but my brother, who wasn't there, wears a near carbon copy of his face. That was almost 2 years ago. We knew, but we didn't know. Until yesterday, when I expressed sadness about my relationship with my mom, who has always been a destructive force in our lives. I told my dad about how much it hurts that our mom has always only really been interested in having a good relationship with our brother, but not my sister and I, who are no/low contact with our mom now. He said there was a reason for that he was her son. I said, but she's our mom too. And he said she had her reasons and that she wished he could tell us everything, but that it was the wrong thing to do. So I told him that my sister and I already knew the truth, that he isn't our brother's dad, and farther, that we know who is. Through this conversation, I learned that one of my aunts, David, his sister, and his mom, a woman we referred to as our aunt our entire lives, all know the truth. And that my mother and David had carried on an affair for 3 years when we were little. Now everything is so confusing. We want to tell our brother the truth, but he already has a rocky relationship with our dad, in part due to my mom's lifetime alienation, and our mom is his best friend. We don't want to tell him that all these people lied to him his whole life, or that his bio dad has known about him and watched him grow up, but opted out of being his dad. We don't want to ruin the relationships our brother has, but they are built on lies. Now my brother is about to undergo an exploratory surgery based on a medical history that isn't his. And I'm left wondering if it's worse to have unnecessary surgery or to learn that your life and relationships are built on lies. To add even more medical drama, my brother also has a couple of kids with a rare genetic condition that hasn't come up before in either our background or his wife's. Only boys get it, and the new baby is also a boy. We won't know if he also has it for a few years, since we can't tell his mom to get him tested without revealing why. Luckily, there is no early interventions, so her finding out later versus now won't change her child's outcome. But still, if he has it too, that might reveal the secret on his own. There are so many more twists and turns to get us to where we are now, but this is the Cliff's Notes. Now for the comments. Sorry to tell you this, but your mom is a predator. Oh, I know. I just didn't know that this was one of the ways in which that's true. It does explain how she has maintained a relationship with a family member who molested both me and my sister. Ew, your mom had an affair with her friend's son? That's so crazy. 24-year-old dating a 16-year-old and a 16-year-old's mom is okay with it and remained friends? I kept hoping that David's dad was the one that got her preggo, not the 16-year-old. Yuck. That is so wrong on so many levels. Honestly, I'd blow it up. DNA kids are outright telling him, your mom doesn't treat you or your sister right. She cheated and took advantage of a kid that technically couldn't give consent at that age. Your brother deserves to know now. He needs to know before his surgery and all the rest. You can be gentle when you tell him, but to hide it further is not right. Mom cheated with a 16-year-old who got her pregnant. Not a good look. I'm not ready to even try to come to terms with that part. My 20 years of therapy just was basically obliterated by a whole new way to view pre-existing childhood trauma. I don't blame you for that at all. This is a whole lot to unpack. But I totally agree with the other poster that said once, keeping a secret like this could affect the outcome in a medical situation. Whether concerning your brother or his son, all bets are off. The surgeon needs to know his accurate medical history, and your brother and his wife need to know the truth about why this genetic condition has a possibility of affecting their son, so they can get an accurate paternal family history for any genetic counseling they may decide to do. Yes, this is going to rock his world, and I get that your mom is his best friend, but that relationship is built on lie after lie after lie, and he deserves to know the truth. Not only for all the reasons above, but so he can make decisions based on all the facts about his relationship with your mother, because she knows that he needs an accurate paternal medical history, and still chose to say nothing. That's next level messed up, and the stakes are too high to stay quiet.